Welcome to the Leadership Exposé podcast. This podcast is for purpose-driven leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business, and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business and boardroom topics, trends, innovation, transformation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, we welcome Ivan Tejeda. Ivan is the co-owner, chief financial and operating officer of a company. He has had several international long-term experiences globally working for various companies where he has provided the leadership, management, and vision to take the companies forward. We will learn about Ivan, how he became the person he is today, and his journey of reinventing and finally reaching where he is now. Exciting times. We'll hear more about that. Ivan, welcome. How are you doing today?
Thanks a lot. Doing well. Excited to be here and talking to you and obviously being part of this podcast.
Excellent. So Ivan, I know you've lived in the UK, but and I'm I'm in the UK as well. But for the purposes of our audience, tell us where you're based.
I'm currently based in France, in Lyon. So I came here in 2011. Okay. And before that, I was in Italy, where I spent 3 years.
Wonderful.
Just when I left the UK, so just after leaving the UK. So
wonderful. Well, continue with that theme. Let's hear about your, your personal and your professional leadership journey. Tell us briefly that intersection of that, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah,
Where did it all begin?
Yeah, well, I'll begin from the very beginning. I guess when I migrated to the UK, that was quite a few years ago. I originally from Spain, so that's what I started that's where I did my studies, and then I moved to the UK, where I started my career. It was I would say a career that was probably in a way unexpected. My background in terms of my studies was actually on marketing. I ended up working in finance somehow, and that was the interesting part as well, because it took me through a journey which leads where I am today. Started working in different areas in finance. Originally, it was just to get a job and pay my bills, as they say, and then quickly became something that I got fond of, and I started learning more and more. I work in different companies throughout these years, from software to then industrial companies, and the one that I spent the most time with, it was Emerson Electric, a US company, and again I started working with them in the UK, and that's what took me afterwards through all my assignments in different countries. So it was a very exciting career, I would say. It took me from I went through many places with them internationally, whether it was Middle East, whether it was Asia, also the US. And physically myself, I moved from country to country. So I moved to Italy, where I spent 3 years. Totally, it was not planned, but it just happened like that. An opportunity came up, and I decided to take it. In a role that many people would have said was more of a probably going backwards in my career. But I found it was for me very from a personal and professional standpoint was very I would say profitable. I would say no in the money sense, but more on what I gain as a person. You move to a different country, you need to learn a new language. I didn't know Italian at the time, so I have to learn all the lingo to live there. And then my daughter was born actually there in Italy as well, so it's quite close to my heart, I would say. And then from then on that job, that's what actually led me to come to France. So what it was supposed to be, many people judge it as a, let's say, backward move, moving into a more of a, say, a planning role as opposed to a finance director role. It led me to come to France as part of an acquisition that Emerson did at the time. which was a company called Chloride, a UK company. So they acquired the company, and I came here just to integrate the company in the Emerson culture from a financial standpoint. So I spent 5 years with them. Then I moved. I continued my journey with Emerson because they decided to sell the business to a private equity company. So I continued my journey with Emerson into a different business south of Paris. Very interesting as well. Completely different industry. I love that part too. We had a lot of sites across Europe, so a lot of traveling across different countries. And again, you can compare the cultures of different countries, and it's quite enriching. And then, as it happens, a lot of traveling as well. I had to take a tough personal decision, I would say, because all that traveling obviously was at a cost, which was missing a little bit out on my daughter growing up. So I decided to leave Emerson at the time for another company, US company that was based in Lyon, and then I could stay closer to my family and to my daughter. So that was yet another change, significant change. A company called Lennox International that was in the refrigeration and conditioning business. Very interesting company as well. I spent 3 years with them, and through that I lived through the COVID in this company. So, like many people, I guess in COVID, everybody was rethinking their life, I would say. I had been in the finance roles for quite a while, and I felt that I wanted something different as well. And my heart was telling me that my heart and my wife was telling me that I was supposed to, I was always meant for entrepreneurship. And these things, you don't know when they're going to come, but it happened to me, and I would say it's a coincidence or maybe destiny, I don't know. But my ex-colleagues from Chloride here in Lyon, they came to me and they said, look, the parent company is selling Chloride. So do you think that, are you interested on taking part on the adventure? And it just happened that, I was actually on that self exploration of myself, and I found out that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I took the chance. We started working on that, and in 2021, December 21, we purchased the company, and it's been now a year since we started. So a lot of work through that time, obviously, because we had to take it out of the group where they were belonging to. But I would not change it. I think even if it comes with a lot of hard work, it's definitely something that you're certainly feeling the value that you're putting into it, the added value that you're doing to the people that are working in the business, and you can model things the way you want it. So that's very important.
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting journey. And one thing that that kept coming out as a word when you were describing your different journeys was agility, and you're
Right.
able to navigate through not only different roles, different business domains, different companies, different different countries and cultures as well, and that takes a lot of internal agility to be able to navigate through that. But I'm also curious to hear, I mean, like, I've lived in many countries. I've packed my bags and just gone as well, and I've lived globally, 5 different countries, 4 different continents, and I've done small term pieces as well. But I'm curious to hear, because I want to relate to something that I've experienced as well, is through those journeys, was it all excitement, or were there points of uncertainty, fear?
Right.
I want to hear that from you. How were you navigating through all of that?
There is a lot of people, come to me with the words that you just expressing, particularly in my family, I'm the only one in my family that has left Spain. So they feel, I've been very agile, and the courage that you put into it. But you're right. I think there's a lot of I went through a lot of times where you have a lot of doubts, the fears, as you said. I recall particularly my first years in the UK, where you feel all of a sudden you change the whole social circle that you have, right? So you have to kind of rebuild it. And particularly in the UK, it's a very dynamic environment. I live very close to Oxford, High Wycombe, not far from London. So people come and go very fast, and it's kind of an interesting adjustment that you have to make. And coming from my background, where there's a lot of social environment, and the people don't move that much. It was an interesting experience, and you learn how to adapt. And also, going to other countries like Italy or France, where I didn't know the language. That's it's pretty scary at times, because obviously you have to not just the let's say the mundane things that you have to do. You need to find an apartment, and then in front of you have people that don't speak English or any other language, so you have to find your way because you need it, right? Yeah, there's a lot of doubts in those moments.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I've been through that myself, and I think one of the things from my perspective, just to share this as well, is there were times when I was traveling, especially during my younger years, where I was just by myself, and I didn't, my career was the main thing. So relationships was all about career,
Yeah.
nothing else. And then things have changed now. Obviously, I do think 3-4 times before I take an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And obviously I do have elements of doubt and fear as well when I take on certain things, because I know it will come out as a positive outcome, but that initial bits are yeah, I guess I'm human as well. So
yeah, I think there is that, and also I think there's a degree that you learn also how to cope with that uncertainty.
exactly, and that's the level of comfort that I get, and I know you do get that, because you've done it, you can
Right.
do it.
Right.
So immediately any doubts or fear, you close the gap fairly quickly, as opposed to dwelling on it.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
okay, good. Great to hear that you're now in a state where you've probably, as you were describing, you've reached a stage where the entrepreneurship is kind of that, one of those biggest levels where you're leading the company as well. You're contributing and probably leading big parts towards the vision of that organization. Is that where your ultimate aim is at the moment?
Yeah, I think I guess through always through my career, I was always, and even from my student days, um, entrepreneurship was quite close to my heart. But when you think you can do entrepreneurship for various reasons. You can do it just for the money, just because you think it's good, for the status. For me, it was more. And I guess that's the whole journey for me. That's what it came down to during the COVID time. It's more about leaving a legacy. I think that's the important thing. Do something that can leave a legacy as well to others. It's not just to yourself, it's just for the others as well. From a, let's say, the people standpoint that work in our company, we have about 360 people across the globe that work for us. So just leaving a legacy for those people, but also leaving a company that will last for a long time. I think that's and that can change things. There's a lot of things that we hear today about the environment, and I'm happy that we can drive now with my associates. We can drive those initiatives that we want to drive. We want to transform this business in a way that will help the greater aim, or I would say, or the greater objective. So yeah, I think that's the beauty of that.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. And now you're in that executive and board level type of role. What are the types of conversations in your view that companies need to be having in the current environment, at the executive level, at the board level? What do you think they need to be more focused on, need to prepare for?
Yeah, I think undoubtedly there is a significant transformation that is happening across the globe, obviously related to the impact of companies in not a while back, it was more about the social environment. How do you impact where you're based? How can the town that you're in, how can they benefit from, how can you contribute to that town? So it was more about employment and so on, but now it's a little bit larger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming to a we're talking about the impact in environment and how you can influence that. And some of those things, particularly in France, right now, is coming to a point where we're getting to a position where what it was maybe I would call it a vicious circle, because they say, well, you have to take care of the environment, but all of a sudden you don't have, it's pretty hard to do it, because then you need to influence your suppliers, you need to influence your customers as well. It's starting to become now a vicious circle. A circle of virtue right now, whereby now we're seeing the government in France incentivizing all those changes. We're seeing the banks are actually looking into that as well. The private equity companies are moving more and more towards that kind of investment, what is going to contribute, to a greater objective. So personally, ourselves, here at the board of Chloride, we do spend a great deal of time talking about how we can change what we're doing, how we can help our customers, but also how our suppliers can help us to do that.
Yeah.
And it will come through, it's not going to come by itself. It's going to come through a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
So, we spend a lot of time talking about how can we innovate to make that happen.
Yeah. You were just reminding me of a conversation I had with one of the boards recently, and you touched on a very key point around stakeholders. I mean, most companies only focus on shareholders, for example, right? But you talk about different stakeholders within that ecosystem that you need to be either keeping close to, or you need to be mindful of them, in alignment with the vision of your organization, and how what's your end goal as well, or your journey towards that end goal as well. And many organizations don't do that, and how you described it actually makes it even more relevant, especially these days, because things are changing so quickly.
Yes.
You mentioned about transformation, lots of transformation happening internally, externally, and it's not just your direct stakeholder groups that are impacted. There are so many other stakeholder groups that are impacted as well. So I'm actually thrilled to hear somebody is actually thinking about that.
Yeah, it's and we are in the energy domain. So that's basically our industry is all in the energy. So we furnish equipment for the energy, for the traditional energy business, but also to the renewables and all the different businesses. And I don't recall having seen this level of transformation in the energy industry ever. I mean, we're seeing our customers that we're doing different sources of energy. They're transforming completely. They are changing. They are pivoting almost the whole strategy of the companies to move to a completely different area. We're talking about the hydrogen. Hydrogen is becoming something that we don't see much in the news about that, because it's not populated, but we see a lot of initiatives from that particular industry, which is quite exciting, I would say, to see that level of change, and that they are taking it on board, and these are the traditional businesses that were doing, let's say, fossil energy, and they're moving towards that. They are the ones that are actually taking the steps to say, okay, let's move towards that. That's what we got to do now.
And you touched on a few things related to challenges, but any experiences of what you're seeing as challenge in the business or in the environment as a result of now we've got our economic situation, the shocks that are happening in different parts. I know Europe is probably in a different state than what UK is, or
Right.
probably what the US is. Do you have any perspectives on the challenges that you're facing as a business, or maybe just generally?
I think what we are facing particularly, I would resume it to summarize it in two challenges. I think is the skill shortage.
Mm-hmm.
Finding people that are interested today in engineering jobs, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. I think, particularly in France, I see that a lot in France. We see it in the UK as well, because we have a subsidiary in Aberdeen. And we struggle to find people that are interested in engineering jobs and things like that. So that's number one, and for us it's important because we have a business because of people. That's it's all about people, our business. And then the second one is certainly we still see a lot of tension in terms of supply chain. That's something that hasn't gone away. There's still inflationary trends there that are not helping. But there is supply chain is and it will continue to be hard because this transformation that is happening in the energy industry is bringing a huge wave of capital utilization, and it's quite capital intensive, which is going to put a pressure obviously in the supply chain, and is going to put pressure also on the availability of capital across the globe, I think, because they are large projects. They are not a small projects that they're dealing with, and it has to happen. But there will be quite a bit of tension at least for the next couple of years.
Yeah, wonderful. Ivan, let's talk about you. What's one thing that's your secret formula to your success?
My secret my secret formula. I don't think I
Or a formula to success.
I don't know if it's I would say I don't even know if it's a formula, but I've always said to people, you have to be curious. I sometimes I've been presenting in front of MBAs and students and so on, and they tell me, well, how do you become a CFO? How do you just be curious? I mean, just like me, I started my studies were marketing. I ended up in finance, and that didn't stop me from continuing my career and learning things.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why I've changed from different industries and moved from different businesses within Amazon as well is that curiosity. Just be curious about, don't be curious, be that hunger of learning as well. I've always loved learning about new things. So and it could be through books, it could be through studies, or it could be just through experience. I personally like learning through experience. I think it's a great way. I learned my languages just by moving to the countries, because even when I moved to the UK, I could hardly speak English. But I think any way of learning is very beneficial. Now the experience is obviously to my knowledge is probably the best one anyway.
No, wonderful. And let's continue with that theme. What does a day in the life of Ivan look like these days, morning to evening?
Well, wake up early. One of the things I try to do is to take care of myself. I tried already for many years. When I was traveling a lot, I made a commitment to myself to first you need to take care of yourself. So I started doing a few years ago exercise early in the morning, because I tried in the evenings, I tried in the afternoons, it just doesn't work for me. So choose the time that is good for you, but take care of yourself. Exercise, meditation, learning things. I love doing that early in the morning as well. So I have that secret time for me to spend time for myself. And then I, spend a bit of time with my daughter. So I take her to college, so I can chat to her in the morning and have a bit of time with the two of us. And then straight to work. And then we are right now in that moment where we're still changing a lot of things. So it's quite intense. We were back and forth. We exchange a lot with my associates, with the managers, with everybody. And yeah, that's quite intense from that period.
Wonderful, Ivan. Well, we're coming to a close now. Any closing messages or challenge to other executive leaders or boards or business organizations that you want to share here?
Oh, I think the message obviously to the wider audience, I would say, is keep your mind open, because and I think that's something that we are learning a lot through this transformation we're seeing in many markets, is that things can change anytime very quickly. And I think if we learn something from COVID, and we learn also something from the unfortunate situation that we're seeing in Ukraine, is that it just takes two men to disagree to change the course of history, basically. And I think we're all as executives these days, we live in uncertain times, and we need to make sure that we adapt to that very quickly. And us as people adapting to that, could be fairly easy, but then you have organizations behind, and people don't adapt the same way. So we need to guide that adaptation, support it, and make sure that the people feel equipped, and feel the energy as well to make those changes.
Wonderful. Wise words from Ivan. Ivan, thank you very much for being with us today and for sharing your journey, but also giving some great insights on how you've navigated personal, but also business, and good lessons for the leaders. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks a lot to you, Stephen.
Wonderful. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode on AI, artificial intelligence, and ChatGPT 3 and 4 from a chief innovation officer from a global company. So stay tuned. Hey, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You're now seeing this part of the video also because you consume some of my content, insights, and teachings. Maybe you've been to my LinkedIn page or website or seen other social media ads or listened to my podcast. I'm Stephen Paul, a business and transformational executive coach, strategic advisor, leader, and board member. I've been in diverse roles, corporate executive, entrepreneur, and worked with businesses and firms of all sizes, built and launched businesses, created high-impact boards, and so forth in 4 continents. I get it. I've been there, done that, but what is different is I bring a unique perspective and a playbook. I've helped 100+ business leaders just like you to scale and align their leadership top teams, the board, and overall business for growth. Leaders like Ivana from medium-sized company in the EU who grew 150% and expanded globally in under 5 months. After she started to work with me over facilitated sessions in an initial 3 days, I helped fine-tune their strategy and align their leadership team and board to be a cohesive driving force to achieve their dreams and outcomes. I want to teach you the same thing, and more on how to scale and align your leadership team and board so you can increase your business growth and value. Get clarity on what is the next right strategy for you. There are multiple ways we can work with you. Number 1, click the link for a free, non-obligatory 60-minute initial strategic session. Let's get a feel for your dreams, your vision, your challenges, and let me convert that into a route map for you where we can co-develop and co-pilot. Number 2, enroll in an innovative and intuitive digital online course that I have created to help you transform. It's called Unshakable Resilience. It is the ultimate program for individuals and business leaders like you who want to be equipped at a personal and professional level to respond to any form of challenges or in crisis situations and take on opportunities with grit, resilience, and build a mindset of success. In essence, you want to be unshakable, thrive in crisis, take on opportunities in the face of adversity, and build a success mindset. So, click the link below to learn more on how I can personally help you individually and your firm to scale and align your leadership team and business and pivot in a transformational way And for you to experience this, whatever the challenge you're facing, get in touch with me. Let's discuss, and I will share my insight rapidly to enable your transformation. Click the links below.